Yo, what's going on, guys? Today, I'm going to talk about a game that, for what it is, has become somewhat divisive. And not divisive in the sense of, oh, it's like super controversial, but like, it is a game that's like made a lot of discourse within its community. And that game I'm going to talk about is Persona 3. Not just like a specific version of Persona 3, just all of Persona 3. So, you might be asking like what is the game about? Well, the basic premise of P3 is you and the main character's name, if you just don't name him at all, it's just Makoto Yuki. You, Makoto, move to Iwatodai, and you start to notice that there's a bunch of weird stuff like going on as you move in. So with the fact that you notice this weird stuff going on, you basically start to get monitored by one of the main people that's running this group called C's. And even though it's disguised as a school club, it is the main way that these high schoolers are fighting these like shadows. And of course, only they can actually see the shadows and stuff. So, with that premise out the way, and with you awakening to the power that allows you to use, like, because everyone obviously has their own persona, but you, the main character of the series, is special because you can obviously use multiple personas, and that's one of the main gameplay aspects is making new ones to better yourself and continue to progress throughout the game. So, with that basic premise out of the way, that makes you ask, like, why, what makes this game so controversial? And I say it's controversial because there is a, like, pretty common, like, narrative that a lot of people say that, oh yeah, it's definitely the best game of the series, which I I personally like after playing all of the games in just the series from 1 to 5, I could like almost very confidently say that it is not close to being the best game in the series. And now to some people that might sound outrageous, but like what leads a lot of people to say that 3 is the best in the series is that from P1 and P2, those games are, I mean, obviously they're in 2D, and they are much more akin to Shinigami Tensei than the Persona style we know now, where there's no day and night cycle. It's you have a full team of 5 instead of 4, and it's not like super turn based. It's more so you get all of your actions. You set all of your actions and then you attack. And there's no like calendar system, there's no social links. The story is just there for you. You basically have to, there's obviously still like your good and bad endings, but you still have to pick certain things that happen throughout the story, but most of the story is pretty much determined, except in 1 where certain speech options will lead to a completely different route of the game. But for the most part, it's very like Shinigami Tensei 1 and 2. The thing with 3 is that like it is like the cornerstone of the series, which makes a lot of sense since it's basically like in the dead middle as of right now, since 6 hasn't come out yet. But it is essentially like the very big turning point of the whole series where the game does a very massive shift in many different aspects. Uh, the main one being what the series ends up becoming known for now, which is the social link system, including other things such as the calendar. Those like the two like big things that three like brings to the series. And the social link system, I mean obviously I love it because it allows you to learn a lot more about not only your teammates but other NPCs around the world and that are involved with the story. And a lot of them are like very good just storytelling devices in themselves. And my one main thing with 3, which is one of the main reasons why it's definitely not the best game in the series, is that since 3 is the first time that they do social links, a lot of them are very like basic, and I still love them. I still love a lot of the ones in 3. But if I want to look at this like objectively, a lot of the links in 3 are very basic, and I don't blame them for that. It's the first time that they're doing this, so it makes sense that a lot of them can be very one dimensional. And I think the only two exceptions for this are I guess, which is the robot that you meet over the summer, and then Akinari, which is one of the people that you meet doing another social link around the shrine that you can only talk to on Sundays. Those two are like probably head and shoulders like the best written links in 3, like without a doubt. And they still hold up a candle to a lot of the other links in other games, which is very impressive for the first go around. And in Reload, these links become a lot better, especially Aegis's link. Aegis becomes like just in base 3, she was already like a very like great character, but in Reload, I think it elevates her to become like one of the better characters in the entire series. Like it kind of just cements that. And that aside, with these social links, I think as you go on throughout the series, they like vast. I think they vastly improve like just overall, not just with your team, because I think in 3 a lot of the non-team links are pretty they're pretty they're all right. And then in like once you go to 4, you think you get a lot more. Well, not only do you just get a lot better team links, but a lot of the ones outside of just the team are pretty good. And then once you get to 5, that is where I think the series so far has peaked in terms of links. 5, and if I'm gonna count it, though 5 and Metaphor are where the social links are at their best, like by far. Like there's more in 5, so I wouldn't want to say like there's definitely a lot more quantity to the links in 5, and they also have the quality. So I would not say that Metaphor has like surpassed 5, but it's up there no doubt. And it's just natural that the more they do it, the more time they have to actually make them better. And since it's nowadays it is a major aspect of the series, it just makes sense that nowadays they're just objectively better, and for the most part they are. That's like one of the main things people like to prop up with 3. Another thing that people love to prop up about 3 is the fact that the story is so peak, it's so great. But I don't know how to tell you this nicely. No. No, that's not me saying the story is garbage. It's not. Not in the slightest. It is still a very good story. But the best in the series? No, I don't think so. Like, the one thing I will give it credit for is that it probably has the best, like, overall ending in the series. And it definitely wraps up the themes that it displays throughout the game. I think the best out of all of the games. But I just think overall, like, almost every other story besides one, I would say is better. Like, and this is not the fact that, oh, the start of 3 is really boring. No, I don't think so. I think the start of 3 is a very well um, put together way of setting up the world and introducing all the characters to us. The problem is that there is so much downtime, especially in the summer. Like, the summer of P3 is probably the one of the most, like, boring periods of any of the games, like, ever. Like, obviously 1 and 2 don't count because they don't have the calendar system. 4, you I forgot. This is why I need to replay 4, because then I think this argument would become a lot more easier, because in 5, obviously throughout the summer you do Futaba's Palace, and that is one of the best palaces in the game. Not the series, but in the game for sure. It's an elite palace. And in 3 you just kind of do nothing. I mean, literally the one thing that saves the summer in 3 is meeting Igus. That's literally the one thing that actually is saved with 3. But otherwise, it's kind of just, you're kind of just there. But I think the 4 and 5 story is much, much, much more consistent throughout the calendar. And then there's a no point where it feels like rushed. Like, I think, even though with how, like I already said, how great three's ending is, it does feel like the ending kind of comes crashing down all at once when and compared to the other ones where you're building up and building up and building up to, like, this climax. Meanwhile, with 3 it kind of feels like you're getting to the end and you're there, and then it kind of just, like, spikes immediately and then comes back down as the game is ending. And I don't know really how to feel about that. I still, like I said, this is not me hating on the game because I loved it and enjoyed it. But when people try to prop it up and use this game to put down the other 2 games, it looks really, really embarrassing, because there's things that just the other games, like, objectively do better, even when you're kind of going between, like, subjective subjects. It sounds weird, but there's like there are, like, so many things that 4 and 5 do just so much better than 3. Uh, and, like, that's why I'm not, like, talking about, like, the music, because the music is, like, completely subjective. Even though, like, I think that the four soundtrack is, like, by far and away the best one, and it's not close. Again, that's subjective, but, like, I can't. There's no really, like, objective ways to put talking about, like, the soundtrack. I guess you can say, like, how well the soundtrack kind of, like, ties in with the themes of the game, and in that case, I would honestly actually say that 5 might actually have the best soundtrack in that scenario. But I think just overall, I would have 4, like, head and shoulders above the rest, and probably 5 right after, and then 3. But like I said, this could very much change when I replay 4, because I'm like 5 is so fresh in my mind because I replayed it to get the platinum trophy for it, and it really makes you like that. Really, just might be like the peak of the series. This is why I want to like replay 4 because 4 was the first one I ever played, and I do really need to replay it because I can finally end the like internal debate whether 4 or 5 is actually just the best in the series, because like five story is still just so elite, and it's still so like relevant to what's going on in like today's society. But like 4 story is so like intricate and unique, and it's so interesting having to solve the mystery just for all the twists and turns that happen near the end. Like it's so good, and there's not as much there's not as much downtime as there is in 3 because there, like I said, I've already said this a lot of times. 3 was the first time that they had the calendar, so I'm not gonna be too harsh on there being some dead space. However, there are like I already mentioned earlier, the summer period in 3 is a slog fest outside of meeting Aegis. It is super boring outside of meeting Aegis. The and then all of the stuff like leading up to the ending, it's pretty like but actually like playing through like the final act of the game, it's like wait, this is peak. Now, another one of the main things that I have, the main problems that I have with 3 is that Tartarus is just awful. This is a horrifically boring dungeon, dude. And like, yeah, there's like the full moon. You still have the full moon fights that you do, and those are honestly really fun. They're all really unique and very interesting boss fights that you have outside of Tartarus. The thing is that Tartarus is literally 286 floors of a dungeon of doing the exact same thing over and over and over again. There's no puzzles. There's no like unique extra parts besides like the monad doors, but even then that's just like an extra fight for some extra rewards. It is an absolute slog fest doing Tartarus. It is so boring. Even even compared to like 5 in this aspect blows every other game like out of the water. Like it's not even close. Like the 5 palaces are the best rendition of dungeons in the series, bar none. It's not even close. Every single palace is unique with a different puzzle. All like the music for the palaces are all elite. The final bosses are all unique and interesting. Like it's so far and away the best. And when you look at it, like with just looking at it, even with how much better Reload looks since it's a more modern game, it just yeah, it looks better, but it's still just boring. Like yeah, the colors are really pretty and all, but it's boring. And like as closing thoughts, is I've like I said, I've said multiple times throughout this video, I deeply appreciate P3. I had an absolute blast playing through Reload. I was very excited to play through Reload because it looked amazing from the trailers when I was watching my friend play the game. It looked outstanding. And when I got it on my PC to actually play it, it looked outstanding. The music is amazing. That is one of that the remake soundtrack is so elite, dude. They did so well remaking the original 3 soundtrack into what it is now. God, it sounds so good. There are so many songs on there that I honestly can listen to almost every single day. and not realize that oh yeah, this is from like a game. No, bro, like the soundtrack it is that good. Most of the characters I enjoy a lot. There's definitely one or two that I don't like at all, and that's also another thing that kind of brings down the game for me that I didn't have time to talk about. Is that some of the I don't like the characters in 3 as much as I do in 4 and 5, and overall like the game is still peak, but it still has its issues, and it's definitely not close to the best in the series. What do you guys think? Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. I'll be seeing you guys tomorrow.